Hey guys, and welcome back to Viruses Made Easy. This Monday I asked you what virus you guys wanted to learn about, and boy was it close. But coronaviruses just happened to sneak by. So this week we're going to be talking all about what coronaviruses are, where they come from, and how they make us sick. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn, because this week we're talking coronaviruses. So for starters, what is a coronavirus?
Ooh, I know.
Alright, Glovey, give it a shot.
It's a virus?
Glovey. Yeah, that's a start.
So that means they have genetic material inside a capsid, which is probably inside an envelope like this, right?
Hey, you're 2 for 2, Glovey. What else?
And it comes from beer?
Oh, you're doing so good, Glovey. No, coronaviruses actually refer to a group of viruses that got their name from the way they look underneath a microscope. These viruses have big club-like projections that stick out of their envelopes called spikes. Remember, the envelope is an extra layer that surrounds the virus, kind of like a coat. The way these bulky spikes decorate the envelope kind of make the virus look like it's wearing a crown. Check it out. Did you see it? Well, scientists did, and that's why they decided to name them crown viruses.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said they're called coronaviruses and not crown viruses. Duh.
Hey, you're not wrong. But if we called it crown viruses, no one would be drinking Crown Royal. Oh, Kennen, you're so funny. I know, aren't I? No. For some reason, scientists just like to name things in Latin. I don't know why. Maybe they think it sounds cooler or something? Anyway, corona means crown in Latin, which is how the coronaviruses got their name.
Whoa! That just blew my mind!
That was just the beginning, Glovey. There's still so much more to learn about coronaviruses. Coronaviruses have actually been around for hundreds of years, and they're commonly found in all sorts of animals, like birds and mammals. But the first human coronaviruses weren't identified until back in the 1960s. Since then, we've discovered 7 different coronaviruses that infect humans, or human coronaviruses. Of them, the majority of them only cause a minor disease, like the common cold. In fact, 15 to 30% of all colds are thought to be caused by coronaviruses. The simple cold. Who would have known? To be honest, most of us probably already have been or will be infected with a coronavirus at least once in our lives.
Not me!
Yeah, that's probably true.
'Cause I'm invincible!
No, because you're not alive.
Oh.
I'm sorry, bud, but even if you were, you'd probably be okay. Because like we said earlier, most coronaviruses only cause a cold.
So then, what makes a coronavirus dangerous?
Coronaviruses become scary when a version that's normally in animals mutates into a new version that's able to infect humans.
Yeah, bro, so totally. So you mean if a virus came into a human from wild corona?
No!
No more of that.
Maybe not from a wild corona, more like a wild bat, or an exotic cat, or even your camel. I don't have a camel. Well, that's too bad, because that would have made you a lot cooler. But maybe it's good in this case, because bats, cats, and camels are all suspected sources from where coronaviruses may have crossed into humans in the past. When a virus crosses over from an animal into a human, we call this a zoonotic infection. Sometimes these infections are no big deal. Because the virus isn't well adapted to infecting humans, our immune systems can easily crush it. But other times, we're not so lucky, and the virus turns out to be stronger than our immune system and causes us to get sick. Just because a new virus can make us sick, though, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to result in an outbreak. New viruses accidentally hop into humans all the time, but if they can't spread to other people, then they don't really become a big problem. When this happens, we call it a dead-end infection, because the virus has nowhere to go, so its legacy and its entire existence end within that person. But if a virus is able to infect humans, and it makes us sick, and it can pass on to other people, then we have a recipe for an all-new outbreak. And this is exactly what we saw with coronaviruses in 2002, 2012, and now, again today. In 2002, a mutant coronavirus was thought to have transferred from bats into civets, a type of exotic cat often traded in Chinese markets, and eventually from those cats into humans. Unlike the previous human coronaviruses, which attacked primarily our nose and throats to give us the symptoms of the cold, this new coronavirus had a preference for our lungs, causing a much more severe disease. Because of the sudden breathing problems the virus caused, the disease was called the Sudden Acute Respiratory Syndrome, or SARS, and the virus was then named the Sudden Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus, or SARS-CoV. Is that right? Man, I was just saying how good we were at naming things. I guess we can't all be as creative at naming things as Science with Kennen. The SARS outbreak was scary for two big reasons. First, it was able to spread from person to person fairly well, infecting more than 8,000 people in a time span of a little less than 2 years. Secondly, the virus had a case fatality rate of 10%, meaning that 1 out of every 10 people who got sick with the virus died. Luckily, a global response was initiated, people were able to be quarantined, and the outbreak was eventually contained and eliminated by 2004, but not before 774 people had died. Fortunately, there hasn't been a new reported case of SARS since 2004. We may have thought we were safe going forward, but then in 2012, a new coronavirus crossed over into humans, this time from camels. This new virus attacked our lungs similar to SARS. However, this outbreak occurred in the Middle East. So, scientists with all of our naming savvy decided to call this one, can you guess? Middle East Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus, or MERS-CoV. Brilliant, guys. Where did you come up with that? A shocking statistic that set MERS apart from SARS was its case fatality rate. Whereas the SARS virus killed about 10% of those who were infected, the MERS virus killed nearly 35%. Luckily for us, the MERS virus seems to be less equipped for spreading easily among humans than the SARS virus was. In the 8 years that it's been out since 2012, it's infected less than 2,500 people, compared to the 8,000 from SARS. But don't let that low number of infections fool you. That 35% mortality rate has resulted in MERS killing more people than the larger SARS outbreak, and there are still sporadic infections that occur of MERS today. Which brings us to our newest outbreak, which last time I checked still didn't have an official name yet. However, the disease that it causes does. They're calling it COVID-19, which is short for Coronavirus Disease 2019. Way to go, guys. Way to keep up the tradition of obvious names. Although, to be honest, I kind of like names that go along with the disease that they cause. Although if the virus caused more than one disease, then it could get a little complicated. But SARS virus causes SARS. Cool, I get it. Unlike MERS, which got more deadly but less effective at spreading from person to person, this new coronavirus went the opposite direction and became very good at spreading, infecting more than 75,000 people already in less than 2 months, but only killing about 2% of those infected, which is good when compared to SARS virus, which killed 10% of those infected, and the MERS virus that killed the 35%. But let's not forget that that 2% accounts for more than 2,000 deaths in less than 2 months. That's more than the number of deaths total from SARS and MERS combined.
Thanks for the history lesson. But what we really want to know is,
how these viruses make us sick! Well, like I mentioned before, these new and more severe coronaviruses seem to infect our lungs more often. When the virus manages to get into your lungs, it can infect your lung cells and cause them to die, which additionally triggers your immune system to send in the troops to help clear out the infection. This causes an inflammation in your lungs, which can cause more cells to die and eventually lead to fluid and pus buildup inside of your lungs, which we call pneumonia. Believe it or not, it turns out having a bunch of dead cells and fluid in your lungs is not great. With less cells and less surface area, there's fewer workers available to provide the oxygen for your body. This means that now, on top of fighting off an infection, your lungs are also having to work twice as hard to provide the amount of oxygen that the rest of your body needs. As your lungs work harder, they can cause your breathing to become more rapid. Lack of oxygen can lead to symptoms such as shortness of breath, tiredness, dizziness, lightheadedness, and, in extreme cases, death. Essentially, your body can't get enough oxygen, and you end up dying by suffocation. Not a great way to go. But a great note to end on. So, let's recap what we learned about coronaviruses today. Coronaviruses get their names from the way that the spike proteins on their envelope make the virus look like they're wearing a crown. We've known about human coronaviruses since the 1960s. However, most of them only cause minor disease, accounting for 30% of our common colds. Coronaviruses have been shown to be dangerous when they can jump from one animal into humans. This has been the case for the last 3 serious coronaviruses we've had, which were MERS, SARS, and this new 2019 coronavirus. And the best way to prevent a coronavirus outbreak is to wash your hands routinely, practice good cough etiquette, and stay home if you're feeling sick. Unless, of course, you need a doctor. Then call ahead. Well, thank you for sticking around until the end. I hope you learned something, or at least had fun. Feel free to message me if you have any questions. And don't forget to tune in next week when we're talking about one of my all-time favorite viruses, rabies. Until next time, as always, friends, stay classy and keep curious.